Internet, welcome to listen to me and Kent pontificate again. We are back with Kenter at Your Own Risk, number 11. Good evening. This is brought to you by Chris and Kent, my cohort and original G partner in crime. Say hello, Kent.
Hello, I'm a G.
He's an OG.
Do I get a unit?
You can have 2 units if you of blood. Be negative. No, just kidding. Anyways, we're going to be doing a continuation on. If you were with us earlier, if you're just coming in, we're going to be doing a top 10. This or 25 in Kent's case, where we our topic this month is horror movies that we think are due or in need of a reboot or a revamp, or possibly, I guess, some could be just like a sequel. But just to hit that up right away and jump on in, I just thought of one that is going to add on, so mine will be a top 11. So there.
Take that, Internet.
Take that. Top 11. So, if you are ready to start, Ken?
I am. I'm currently rearranging a few things that I can add as bonuses as opposed to my top 10 because I want to cheat the audience just a little bit if I can.
All right, let me bring up IMDb. For some reason, just close that so I can reference to go along with that.
Yeah, we got to have names of people that nobody else knows.
All right, so my number 11, to start it off with, I don't know if you ever saw it, but back in 1990, there was a horror movie with Lou Diamond Phillips called The First Power.
Heard of it? I don't think I watched it, though.
I remember when the trailers were going, it looked pretty cool, pretty scary. Basically, what it boils down to is a Satanist serial killer is going through like these rituals in order to turn himself into like, I don't want to say full-on demon, but almost like an antichrist. Like the first power is resurrection, where he can finally bring himself back from the dead. It goes through like teleportation, possession. So I was thinking about it. I'm like, it's an interesting subject. It combines demons and serial killers. But I mean, you go back and you watch it now, and it's kind of dated. Like the special effects feel very dated. There was a lot of jump scares. I have a feeling with like a better director, a better script writer. I don't want to necessarily say a better cast. I think they did the best that they could in the time that it came out with what they had. I think it could be pretty effective, And I don't think it was one of those movies that was popular enough where, like, if you remade it, all of a sudden you'd have a whole bunch of people being, like, pissed off because you remade it.
I remember actually seeing trailers for it, either like on TV or like on VHS, when you'd have 3 or 4 trailers before you got to the main feature. I remember it interesting me or intriguing me, but I never got around to it. That's about. I can almost actually. I think I can actually almost remember like some of the cover art even.
Yeah, the guy who played the bad guy too, his name is Jeff Krober. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you would know him just by his name, but like you see his face, and yeah, he's definitely like one of those people who gets typecast in a lot of those parts. Like he was in The Walking Dead, Red Machete, Joe. I don't know.
Yeah, Jeff Koch. Yeah, he was also in Sons of Anarchy. He's a great actor. Love him.
This was the first thing that I remember seeing him in, and I was like, yeah, that's perfect for him, that kind of creepy role. And Lou Diamond Phillips has had ups and downs, but back in the day, I think he was a really decent actor. I don't know if it was drugs or whatever, something hit him at like the top of height of his popularity, and he's come back a little bit since then. But yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like young, good-looking, young guns this time frame, Lou Diamond Phillips, and like what we got in like the mid 2000s.
How the hell old is, I can never pronounce his name right, Mykelti Williamson? Like, he was in this as a detective.
Yeah, I mean, this was way before Forrest Gump, so that was the first thing that I really remember him in.
Dude was born in 57. I did not realize he was that old, but I like him a lot.
There are a lot of people in Hollywood who are in their 50s who don't look like they're in their fucking 50s.
I don't want to go too far off topic. I will just say this. Tuesday, I had this conversation about how, like, right now, we were trying to figure out, like, who is left as, like, a big name in their 20s action star. And between 3 dudes and 1 girl, we struggled coming up with big names. And as you said, like, there's a lot of people that were born in that time frame that, you know, because of our age, we don't see them as being that old. But yeah, they've gotten up there so much in years. It's just weird. It's just very weird.
All right, then to go on to my next one. This one I was kind of torn on because I think the original's still pretty good, but I think, again, with an updated budget, it could just be remade to work better, because going back and watching it now, a lot of the special effects didn't age well, but In the Mouth of Madness, like, I love the movie. I love Sam Neill in it, which is a surprise because I'm not a big Sam Neill fan. I like Jürgen Prochnow in it, and I am a big Jürgen Prochnow fan. But again, like, bar like 1 or 2 scenes that they did in that, like, a lot of the special effects have not aged well at all.
Yeah, I mean, shit. That was made in what, 95?
94, I think, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's weird just how much 10 years difference makes, with the exception of Independence Day. Somehow special effects still hold up on Independence Day. Don't know how, but yeah, most of the movies from the 90s, the special effects, some of them look worse than they did from the 80s in some weird way, I feel, especially in the horror genre.
I think a lot of it was because, and I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, a lot of like the digital effects were really just starting in the 90s. A lot of what we had in the 80s were still the practical effects. So, in some ways, I mean, those can look, unless you have good CG, practical effects can look much more realistic. I mean, they can look fucking cheap as shit, too. I mean, it all depends on how much money and ingenuity and talent you're willing to spend. But
remember the Lawnmower Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just, yeah, like, that's a perfect case of example. Like, if they made it now and did everything exactly the same but just updated the special effects, that would be almost like a completely fucking new movie.
Yeah, it really, it'd actually possibly be good now.
Yeah. Probably better than Lawnmower Man 2.
Oh God, I forgot that movie existed. You just made me sad.
Well, yeah, because, of course, going from Jeff Fahey to, Matt Frewer is also the most graceful fucking transition for the same character I've ever seen.
Matt Frewer is now a new actor in Fear the Walking Dead, and Matt Frewer will always have my heart as Trash Can Man.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I'm just like, you go from somebody who looks like Jeff Fahey to somebody who completely doesn't look like Jeff Fahey.
two completely contrasting people.
I would say the only big difference that I've seen like that in a popular movie was when they went from Matt Damon in The Talented Mr. Ripley to John Malkovich in whatever the hell the Mr. Ripley sequel was.
I didn't know there was a sequel to that. Huh. Well, I learned something new.
Yeah, that's. I was like, yep, that's no. They don't look like anything alike at all.
That's a shame.
All right, so to continue on in my Odyssey of Madness, my next one, and you might disagree with me, but I really think they should stop going with the sequels, and we should get a reboot. Just not in a modernization, just a reboot of Children of the Corn. I think that could be done a lot of justice now with, again, some special effects, but some things I think that they're, more willing to allow be put on screen in regards to violence and children and shit like that. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that it wasn't on my list because it sure was, and it just got moved. Yeah, that was actually one of them on my list because did you ever watch when they did try to reboot it and they had the white dude and they changed the lead woman to a black chick who couldn't act at all?
I did not see that one. No, I think I've seen 2 and 3, maybe, or 3 and 4, but I haven't seen any of the ones past that.
Oh, part 3 is Urban Harvest. That's fun. Part 6, I think it was surprisingly fun when they brought Isaac back, but the reboot was such a horrible, like, it really was an epic failure, and I don't like to use that term very often, but in this case, I have no problem. Like, that movie was so bad. Like, even who they cast from Malachi, Isaac was possibly okay, but he was no John Franklin. Yeah, I say you bring back Children of the Corn, and you can get away with so much more. Plus, I mean, think about just how great, to piggyback on the previous podcast, think about how great that fucking beginning scene was. One of the greatest beginning scenes in horror history.
Yeah, I mean, if I did this the way I would want to do it, I would do the original story too, where all the people who show up in there, the Linda Hamilton and I forgot what her husband's name were, they die. You got to kill all the characters.
Wasn't it like Peter Horton or something like that?
Yeah, it might have been. I could look it up, or I could just fucking keep talking.
You keep talking, I'll look it up. It was Peter Horton.
But I mean, I think it works better instead of making it. The '80s had to have the hero win. I think a lot of think about something along the end, like not necessarily the same, but along the ending of like The Mist. Where the whole reason that movie succeeds as well as it does is because of just how nihilistic it is at the end. Same thing with Seven. Like, Seven was an okay movie, but if you take away all the shit that happens at the end, it just stays an okay movie. It doesn't become, I think, as good and as talked about as everything that you get from the ending.
Oh, Seven was a slightly above average movie until you get to that. Yeah, I agree. Like, had good acting, but it was just another thriller with a light bit of horror. Like, which was popular at the time, though. Those types of thrillers were popular, and that one changed things though a little bit, which was good.
All right. To move on again, my next one is another one that I was kind of, unsure about putting it on there because it's kind of a classic, but at the same time, again, going back and looking at it, yeah, it doesn't hold up. But I would really like to see like a remake because, no offense, but I think Don Coscarelli's possibly not lost it a little bit, but
don't say it.
I'd like to see Phantasm redone. I mean, there's very few directors I think who could potentially handle it, but I think it would be, if you got the right person, you could make a really interesting alternate version. I would hate to. I would see like the big thing for this. I would hate to see the majority of these just remade just as the exact same movie, because at that point, why bother remaking it? You've already got, something that's just not modern.
I went back and forth on this, and all right, so it's not that with the right people, it could be done.
The hardest thing would be finding somebody to replace Angus Scrimm. I really think that would be the hardest part.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, and I feel that there's a lot of things that are really tough to replace, including the vibe.
The vibe is definitely one of the most unique things Phantasm has going for it, because it's just like so completely fucking crazy and all over the place.
Yeah, I told you I just bought a bunch of digital movies. I just bought 1 through 4. I didn't buy Ravager yet because it's still $13 and whatever. But Yeah, I bought the first four for, I think in total it was $26, and I don't regret any of that purchase. I I really went back and forth on this decision. I didn't have it on my list because I couldn't figure out how anybody was going to do it better. That was the only thing. I don't know if you get people to do it better, but maybe if you redo it, it brings attention back to the original, and people like. There's a lot of people that have never seen fucking Phantasm, so maybe bringing the spotlight back. Hell, even if it's bad, like people are going to shit all over and be like, "No, the original Phantasm was that great." So maybe it's not the worst case scenario.
But again, this would be one that would need to be specifically done by the right people. I don't necessarily know who they are. Like, I don't think Guillermo would be like a good choice for director, but I could see him helping as like a producer on it.
Yeah, you need somebody with a really vivid imagination, basically,
Yeah.
because that shit was crazy, but crazy good too. Like,
It was. I mean, fucking outer space dwarves selling, stealing people's bodies to fuck. Yeah, it was just. No.
like was
What was
Cuisinart
it?
really
What was
a
it? What
brand
was
of
it?
like kitchen appliances before that movie?
Yeah. But was it your buddy who said the only movie he's seen where an old guy gets to throw his balls at a little kid's face?
Yeah, it's so. And they could do a lot of cool things with the different dimensions. Like there's a lot you could improve upon it. I It would just take the right group of people. That's all. I don't know. Who do you think Tobin Bell could play a good tall man?
Yeah, he's definitely got like he could be the aloof, detached, and menacing at the same time. Yeah, like I could see him doing it. I just don't know if he would be a tall man or like the average, slightly above average height man. I mean, I don't. Special effects could fix it, but yeah, I think he could pull it off. Especially like if they do like they've done with him in a lot of, well, not necessarily a lot, but several movies where they've like enhanced his natural pallor that he has.
Yeah, I think if I go for somebody well known within the horror universe, he's a possible candidate. I'm not
I
saying
mean,
he's the
I would
one.
definitely put him up over like Doug Bradley. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I would agree with that 100%. Or even like Kane Hodder's not old enough yet, and he's not quite the right type of menacing. Tobin Bell has a whole other menace to him than Kane Hodder does.
Kane Hodder's bit tall, but he's also big. It would be like the tall man, was tall and he was threatening, but I wouldn't be worried about him necessarily. Before I've know what he's capable of seeing him like rip my fucking throat out just because of how large he is.
Right, like Kane Hodder, you can picture lifting up the caskets on his own. You didn't really expect that from the tall man until you saw it, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad I'm not alone in being torn on that one. All right. So my next one, this one I was unsure if you've ever seen, but have you ever seen a movie called Wolfen?
I've heard of it, never seen it.
So basically, it's a Whitney Strieber wrote it. I don't know if you remember all the shit that he wrote back in the day, but he was a big deal back in the 80s.
I do not recall.
Like he did The Hunger, he did the one Communion, the alien abduction one that Christopher Walken was in. That was like his biggest thing in the mid 80s. But this was basically a story about werewolves, as compared to like wolfmen.
Okay.
And they were Native American, killing people in New York City as they were approaching on like their territory. It was actually pretty good. And now that I look at it, and I'm older and have watched much more movies than I did when I first saw it back in the 80s when it came out, like I can appreciate the fact that like Albert Finney, Edward James Olmos, Gregory Hines, Tom Noonan, Reginald Vell Johnson, James Tolkien, all these guys, like didn't really mean too much to me are in it now when I see it.
I was just going to say, like, I was looking through the cast right before you started naming names. I'm like, holy shit, that I love Edward James Olmos and Tom Noonan especially. Like, love both those guys. So I'm already adding that to my list to watch.
See, like, I'm not necessarily like a huge werewolf fan, but I think that like they're underrepresented in horror movies compared to like say a vampire.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. And usually, if you have werewolves, a lot of times vampires are involved anyway.
And not to mention the fact that like it's been a lot of mixed bag with in regards to werewolves. I have another one. I'm sure you can probably fucking guess on my list, much higher up. But I thought this was interesting, because it goes along with like it's Native American. There's no wolf man. They're all wolves, and it was like an urban legend. I could see them making like a really easily making a good remake of this as long as they had a good script, and probably being much more graphic than they were in the original too. And like, I don't think it would be a super big deal because I don't think this was like a super popular movie back in the day. Although I could be wrong about that, but I think it was just it was in that period of time where like if you didn't see a movie in the theater, you might have missed it. Like maybe before HBO and like replaying shit on TV became bigger
Sure,
than it was.
that makes sense. I just recently had looked this up because of Tom Noonan, because I was trying to explain to one of my friends who Tom Noonan was, and it's one of those situations where it fell on deaf ears. We'll go with that.
One of the things I do remember from it too, and I think that this would be part of the reason why I picked it, was like when they show the wolf kills. Most of the time they're showing it from the wolf's perspective, so you got like the thermal imaging like you would with a predator.
The Predator.
But this was like 5 years before that. So
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't know. It sounds good, and the cast alone is really good. I'm hoping I can find it on something streaming. I don't know. That's like a 50-50 proposal at best, but
it looks like probably not. I mean, it's the only watch now I see is on Amazon Prime, and it's one of the ones where you have to rent or buy it. So
right. Yeah, it's all right. I will find a way.
Okay, continuing on. I think we've talked about this before, but I don't know if we were really discussed it. But Fallen, the one with Denzel
and Goodman, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. I didn't like this movie when it came out, but I didn't like it because, like, it was how depressing it was. Like, once Denzel got involved in this situation, there was like no way out for him. He was fucked from the get-go. And I'm the kind of person who likes to root for the good guys and not see the bad guys fucking win. And this was a straight up bad guy fucking victory where he went around, roared around, and stamped on the good guy's grave after he fucking desecrated it. That being said, like, I think there were a lot of really effective scenes in it. Like the one where Denzel's being chased through the crowd and the demon just keeps passing himself by touching the people. And I think less of a reboot and more of just like a new story about this demon would work for me. I don't know.
I think it could be pretty interesting. I'd watch it. Like, it's weird because there's a lot of movies from. I'll say this about my list. There's a lot of things that I probably kept off because I was like, how soon is too soon to do a reboot, basically. But I feel that enough time. When was this? Mid 90s? Late 90s?
Yeah, it was 98, and part of me feels like that was yesterday, but then part of me realizes that's also 21 years ago.
Yeah, I graduated in 98, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot Donald Sutherland was in that, to take it back to our earlier podcast.
The Donald, yes.
6 degrees of separation.
If anybody wants to know what we were talking about last podcast and you didn't listen to it, we discussed Lights Out, Fragile, Mirrors, and The Autopsy of Jane Doe. So if you want in-depth discussion about any of those 4 movies, check us out.
But I think this was one of the movies where, like, I really like Elias Koteas as an actor. I think doesn't get enough credit for the shit that he does. And yeah, he was the one who set the stage for this.
All right. If you could only have him or Stanley Tucci, who do you take? Tough call, right?
I got to go Stanley Tucci, just because he's been in more. So I've seen his range from everything from comedy to horror to action movies. And I know like Elias Koteas is good, but I haven't seen him in as much. So Stanley gets the win for me.
All right, that's fair.
All right, going on. This one, I didn't think of. A friend gave me it, and I was like, oh, shit, that's fucking a good call. Warlock.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, that would... it's a good movie, but I'm like, yeah, we haven't seen one of those, and not like a sequel, where the couple of them were good, but they continued to get worse as you went. But I was like, yeah, I could see them doing a pretty good job with that, especially, like, imagine... in this revised scenario where the guy who follows him into the future isn't like a good guy, but he's like a fucking, like creepy ass fucking witch hunter type of dude.
Yeah. I would like to see it. I think they could have a lot of fun with it nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting, and I think the potential would exist for that to happen. But I don't know if that's a franchise that ever going to see a revival.
Yeah, it depends on who owns the rights, I guess.
Moving on. Have you ever seen the movie Split Second with Rutger Hauer?
No. I know of it.
It's got like a big black monster on the cover. Kind of looks like Venom. There's another one I just suggested, so my list became 12. Basically, the devil is acting like a serial killer in a futuristic dystopian London, and carving out body pieces and actually changing his appearance and shit. It was an interesting concept. I really liked the movie a lot, and I want to thank the people who fucking recommended it to me to bring it back up. Yeah, I would say that it's fucking worth it if you can find a copy of it to watch, if not buy.
I do have a copy because my buddy Tom recommended it to me like 2 years ago, and I just never got around to it.
Dude, there's some good scenes in it. There's some fucking pretty funny comedy too, though. Like, this one guy gets fucked up, and all of a sudden he doesn't believe, he gets fucked up by the dude, and now he believes, and all of a sudden he's like, we need bigger fucking guns. It's pretty fucking good. But yeah, again, I could see, like, and it's not like they're super cops or anything, so it's not like they're, what would happen, like, if they cast The Rock in it, where all of a sudden, he's suplexing fucking Satan, kind of shit. It's Rutger Hauer, basically towards the tail end of, like, the height of Rutger Hauer, before he started, like, just making as many movies as possible.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that would be an interesting one to see modernized. All right. My third, and this one actually might be being remade. I've seen various sources on it, but American Werewolf in London.
Another one on my list.
And not like the shitty sequel that we got, but like an actual realistic fucking...
Can we still have Julie Delpy get topless, though? Is that a thing?
No, we cannot.
Sad.
But yeah, I think that the original is a classic, and I would love to see something in the same vein. Juggler. Uh,
Who?
be made. Be made. Again, like I really think we have a shortage of really good werewolf movies, and I would love to see a new one. Again, I don't know if it would be possible, but with the, I mean, if you look back at like the difference between that and The Howling, I think it's fucking night and day, especially in regards to special effects.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't see The Howling until, God, my late 20s, early 30s, and that was a really well done. But I still don't like it as much as I liked American Werewolf in London. But I'm sitting there thinking I mean, I don't recall, like, none of those guys were big names at the time, right? American Werewolf in London?
No, I think it made a lot of people's careers, and especially John Landis. So
Yeah, I mean, it's still to this day, it does hold up, but you can imagine how many different ways they could go with it now. Just to update it, modernize it. It would be really, I'd love to see it.
I mean, not to mention even if all they did was change the setting, have an American in like fucking, some fucking Eastern European town where nobody fucking speaks English and having them go through this shit.
I nominate Romania.
That could be an interesting, story right there. But take it seriously. That's the problem with like a lot of werewolf stories don't do. They just go for the blood and gore and the special effects, and they don't take what the psychological toll is on the person. Or if they try to, they turn it into melodrama instead of into something realistic.
Yeah, I still didn't like. I didn't like Wolf with Nicholson. I didn't like the Wolf Man with Benicio, and I can't remember who else was in it. Like, werewolf movies, by and large, are very disappointing to me. Not as disappointing as witch movies. I think the witch movie genre is the most overrated thing because very rarely do they ever get it right. So,
yes, I would agree. Well, I did like Wolf with Nicholson, but I didn't take it as like a. Yeah, I took it more as like the allegory I think it was intended to be than like a straight up werewolf horror movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
I did like Dog Soldiers.
Okay, yeah.
And I think were, or however you want to pronounce it, was a really interesting found footage take on the genre. I think they did a good job with that one too.
There was a really good one. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but I don't even remember the name of it. I think it began with an H. There were people on a train and they get attacked. Howl. I liked that movie a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting. I liked the twist at the end too.
Yeah. I don't know. It was probably the best werewolf movie I've seen in the past 10 years.
Did you see it where?
I did not. That I can think of. Is it just W-E-R-E?
W-E-R. So, I think it's actually supposed to be pronounced where. It's okay. German, but that was a pretty good one. That's the one I was talking about. I would suggest seeing that.
All right.
To go on to my number 2, and I really want to say I think this is underrepresented in horror now, unless you go to the Sci-Fi Channel. But when was the last time you really remember like a good horror movie featuring just normal animals?
Well, have you seen the trailer for Crawl?
Yeah, that one kind of hits close to home since it's it's like supposed to take place like 120 miles from me.
God damn it! Did they just say, "Well, we liked a quiet place. What can we do?" Well, we'll just flood it and have an alligator and try to make something. We'll get Barry Pepper, who's really great, and throw him in this shit show. Like, that movie looks horrible to me. It just looks horrible. But I just had to get that out of my system.
But my number 2 is Arachnophobia.
Oh, interesting.
I fucking hate spiders.
Yep.
I fucking hate spiders. That movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. And I could just imagine what they would do now with a fucking updated budget for the special effect. Fuck that shit.
I would.
Don't make this movie, but I think it would be a good movie to remake.
Don't you think Arachnophobia remade in 3D would even be more freakier?
I would not see it like that.
I think that'd be a hell of a movie experience. I don't know if I could handle it. I mean,
Imagine if like they had seats that like would move.
oh, I mean, for anybody that doesn't know me, like every year when the first spider comes into my apartment, I have to make a Facebook post about it every year. That's my battle line because I can't tolerate or stand spiders. They fucking freak me out.
And like the shitty part about that is spiders are good for us. They, mostly kill insects that fucking, would come into our house and fuck with us and shit. But they're so fucking creepy. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, I think of like what Peter Jackson did with the fucking giant spider in fucking Return of the King. I'm like, there are ways that they could fuck with us with the remake of this movie. And not to say that the first one was bad by any means. It had some really good acting, some great actors, but at the same time, just like the advances that they've made in what they're able to show us on screen, I think would make it an interesting concept at least to update.
Yeah, I think you're right. I had not even remotely considered that movie, so good call.
All right, and now my number one. I'm not sure if you've seen this one, but Nightbreed by Clive Barker.
I know I've seen it. I haven't seen it in so long that it's kind of beyond me.
Like, I saw a YouTube video the other day where they were talking about how Clive Barker is talking about remaking it, and they're going to do a TV show, and possibly, and the whole gist of the YouTube thing was like, Clive Barker's full of shit. Like, he says this just to drum up publicity, but he's really not got any kind of deal going through. Anyways, the whole premise of Nightbreed is that there's a guy who's having weird dreams, and he's dreaming about this place called Midian where the monsters are, and he thinks he's a monster. He thinks he's done horrible shit in his dreams. And in that regard, it turns out that his psychologist is a serial killer who's been, drugging him and basically implanting suggestions into this guy's head that the murders that the dude's been committing are things that the guy thinks he's been dreaming about. So eventually he gets shot by the police, and we think he dies, and then his body disappears. His girlfriend goes looking for him and finds out that he's been resurrected as one of these monsters. I mean, shit, I fucking forgot some shit. But anyways, it's a long story short. Like, it was a scary movie about monsters, where the monsters were kind of the good guys, kind of the bad guys at the same time. Got into, like, the ugliness of humanity, what makes a monster. Just really cool creature designs and visuals, too, to top it all off. And Clive Barker's usually fucking weird as shit, so... I really liked it, the original one, when it came out. But again, it's one of those movies where, you go back and you look at something from, late 80s, early 90s, and it's really hard to reconcile how good a story is with how badly done the special effects are.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's... You wonder... You know that there's room for improvement, and then you wonder, will they take it in the right way for improvement, or will they just shit all over it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we only had 3 of the same movies, which I'm surprised at. This is the lowest number of combined movies, so that's cool. Before I get on my list, I just wanted to cover something a little different in the fact of, we know The Stand's getting remade, so I didn't include that on my list, right?
Right.
There, like, Dark Tower came out, however, like, not that long ago. We all agree that it deserves something different. I didn't put it on my list, but obviously at some point or another, I think we all agree that it deserves better.
I still haven't watched it.
I haven't either. I've just, based on everything I've heard, I don't want to, which makes me sad. But I didn't include this on my list. This is just stuff I didn't include on my list. I'm just quickly glancing over them. But Child's Play, I'm putting on there because I've seen the trailer and I hate what they've done with Chucky. Like, why not just make a doll that looks realistic? Why did they make him look so shitty? Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, I'll reserve my judgment. I mean, if it's just the appearance that's got you. I mean,
It's the appearance that's got me completely.
it looks like I don't know. It looks like it has potential. I'll give it that.
I already included on my honorable mentions list just being judgmental asshole.
Yeah, I saw your Facebook post this morning.
The Void, another newer movie that had this great idea and they just kind of shit the bed with it. And I know that it's way too soon to redo it, but I hope down the road in 20 years they consider remaking The Void because I think there's potential there. But
I don't know, I liked it. I mean, I know you didn't. I think if you plop it in like the same kind of realm as Phantasm, where not everything needs to fucking make sense, then it makes sense.
yeah, I will agree with that. I would have liked a more satisfying ending, I guess. Frontiers is a movie that I don't want remade, but there's a dark part of me that wants Americans to remake it just to see how bad they fuck it up. Like
Which
they did
one
with
was
Martyrs.
Which one was that?
It was Frontier, and then there was like a parentheses around the S at the end. It was a French film that came out around like when Inside and Martyrs came out in France. So like 2007 era maybe. It was, I don't even know, it had a little Texas Chainsaw Massacre to it. It had a lot of bits and pieces from various things and it made a very good movie. Like so it's a good movie that doesn't need to be remade. I just want to see how bad America could fuck it up. That's all.
Gotcha. Yeah, probably pretty good.
And then two more movies before I actually get to my real list. Evil Dead, please remake it. Don't put a stupid bitch in the lead. Make it a man again because would it just kill the horror industry to have a fucking male lead that's the survivor? Like, would it kill the fucking genre? No. So please give us a better Evil Dead because god damn that fucking movie. I'm angry still about that movie. And to go along with my anger, Nightmare on Elm Street. I wanted it remade. They remade it. I didn't hate it, but I'll go so far as say you don't even need to do it like the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Maybe just do a different spin on things even. I don't know. Like, there's a lot you could do with Nightmare on Elm Street that doesn't have to be the exact traditional, well, we find out who Freddy is, this is why he is. Like, you could do different things nowadays. And I think if you put it in the hands of somebody super creative, you could revive that franchise. Just my personal.
I think the idea of Freddy is probably just about the scariest idea that ever exists. Something that can kill you in your dreams that you really can't fight.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like you said, I mean, maybe Freddy's kind of becomes symbolic with that, but some other kind of dream monster, something like that. I mean, I could see that taking off if they didn't want to just do a straight up remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, but wanted to, take the idea and run with it in a different direction.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. Somebody creative enough has to just take it, and even if it's not Freddy, just take that idea and run with it. So, okay. Finally to my list, and I will say one movie that I was very much on the fence, I didn't put it on my list, was The Exorcist. I don't think they could do it better. The only reason I would put it on the list is to get people to watch the original again. But
I mean, that's why I didn't put a lot, like The Shining, people brought up. I'm like, oh, I mean, would it necessarily be better, or would you just be remaking it just to remake it? I mean,
Right.
they remade it, the TV version that was more true to the book that Stephen King, and it was not as good, or it was different.
It wasn't well received, which
Yeah.
I liked it. It wasn't as great of a film. The story, I don't know. I liked it. I really did, but
Yeah,
it
no,
wasn't
it wasn't.
received.
It wasn't bad, but at this
Yeah.
point, like, there's already been two versions. Why are you going to remake it just to remake it, or are you going to remake? Typically, I would want to see these remakes made, not just to make money, but in order to improve upon, what
Right.
came before.
I also thought about like the Tales from the Crypt movies, but I still love Demon Knight, and although it's a little cheesy, I don't. Even if you upgrade the looks, the aesthetics of it, I don't think you get a better cast than what they had for Demon Knight. And Bordello of Blood is a story that doesn't ever need to be told again, but I'd like to see Tales from the Crypt get back in the game. I guess.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like, barring just remaking the two original movies, there's no reason why you couldn't put the Tales from the Crypt name and make just a new horror movie.
Right. So, with that being said, my number 10 movie, The Burning from, I don't know, 1980 or something like that. Like, it was basically Friday the 13th, only with Jason Alexander in it.
Like George.
Yeah, George Costanza. Yeah. Thinner, but very much still him. It's fun. Like, there's no like you're not going to update it to the point where like it's going to be a game changer. It's still a fucking people out at a fucking summer camp and there's a killer. Like there's nothing groundbreaking about it, but there's still nothing wrong with having mindless schlock like that, and just have fun with it. I guess is my point. Like I like having more slashers. I don't know, especially now that, everything's fucking reverting back to the 80s for commercialization, like the fucking new Taco Bell commercial and, Stranger Things and fucking new Coke's coming back and American Horror Story's doing 1984 and there's a fucking film about 1984 that's on Shudder Screenbox. Like, I mean, it's coming back, so why not bring back the cheesy summer camp fucking slasher? And since not many people are a fan of The Burning as much as, say, a Friday the 13th, and you certainly can't do Sleepaway Camp because you just can't redo Sleepaway Camp, in my opinion. So I settled with Burning. Have you never seen it?
I have never seen it. Sounds good.
Okay. Number 9. A lot of people may not appreciate this, but I'm going to say Hellraiser. Why not? I want to see what they can do with modern technology.
I was kind of on the fence on this one too, but yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
It's a curiosity. Like, it's kind of like you take a swing, right? Because half of these remakes suck, but sometimes a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Friday the 13th reboot. We've seen a few of the reboots. They work. So I say give it a shot. What's the worst thing that happens? Like,
well, think about the fact too that in some ways, what you can allow sexually on screen has gone way past what was allowed in the original.
oh
And
god,
I
yeah.
mean, like again, like they said, the Cenobites were originally supposed to be, you couldn't tell if they were angel or demon. They were just, devoted to all sorts of deviant pleasures. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I say do it. I think it could be a lot of fun. That's all. My number 8 is a triad of sorts, of Stephen King. I had Tommy Knockers, which wasn't a bad story, but I don't know, maybe it doesn't translate well to film, but I'd like to see them try it again. Rose Red, I really liked it when they put that on screen back like in '96 on ABC, but once again, the digital effects and everything were really meh. Shit, I forgot about Langoliers. I love Langoliers. Don't ever change it. But the third one I had wasn't a bad movie at all. The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Yeah, I think that was one of the ones that I didn't even. God damn it. That was one of the ones that actually made me think about this whole list in the first place. I was like, it's a good movie, but watching it now, the effects don't fucking hold up anywhere at all, any
It,
way, shape, or form.
yeah, I think they could do a lot of cool things with it, and it's The Serpent and the Rainbow was never a truly like great movie. It was a fun movie that if you liked it, you finally remember it. But they could really up the ante and make the coolest shit. So I say take a swing at it. Number 7. Oh, and by the way, there was a lot of Stephen King things that I thought about, and I was just like I thought about Christine. I'm like, you're never gonna remake Christine as good as that. So it was like, I don't know. Anyway, number 7. I have to look up when this came out. I had Don't Look in the Basement. Have you ever seen it?
I have not. I don't even. I didn't even. That sounds like a almost like a made up, but I guess every single movie is made up.
It came out in '73. According to IMDb, just to give the quick thing, it's a young psychiatric nurse goes to work at a lonesome asylum following a murder. There, she experiences varying degrees of torment from the patients. I love insane asylums. I love that type of setting, and then you add a horror element, and yeah, it's cheesy as fuck now, but it might. Yeah, it's still on. I'm pretty sure it's still on Amazon Prime for free. I I don't know. I took great pleasure in it. I mean, yeah, it's 73, so you have to lower your expectations some, but I don't know. If you modernize the asylum aspect, I don't know, you could do a lot of cool things with something like that. Plus, of course, there's a twist at the end, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think it'd be fun. A low budget, fun remake. You don't need to update anything with special effects. Like, you just retell the story with a more modern looking, camera, modern looking asylum, blah, blah, blah. Probably better acting, hopefully. So, moving on. The Sentinel. Can't remember if you told me you've seen that or not.
I don't think so.
Okay, so The Sentinel is was it 77? I think. It has a great cast. Yeah, this is it. I bought it like in October digitally. Had Burgess Meredith, had Walken, had Beverly D'Angelo as this lesbian who showed a lot of skin. Ava Gardner, Chris Sarandon, younger Chris Sarandon. There's a lot of cool people in it, and it's a cool story about this lady moving into a new apartment, and I think there's 3 or 4 apartments, and her neighbors are weird, and she starts seeing weird shit, and basically you find out that the guy at the top floor is this gatekeeper to prevent hell from coming to Earth. I don't know. Visually, I think you could do a lot of fun things with it. Just I don't know. I think you need to rewrite the story just a little bit to modernize it as to why she got the apartment, because their story wouldn't hold up nowadays, basically. But with a little tweaking, I think you could have a lot of fun, especially with the gatekeeping of hell aspect. Why not? I don't know. I think it'd be fun. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend it.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Okay. I know number 5 here on my list is, I don't know. Once again, to go back with The Burning, I'm also going to say, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I need more slashers. It's a cheesy story. I know it's a cheesy story. I know it's not a great movie, but worse things could be made for a summer popcorn flick, right? I don't know. I wanted this more than Final Destination, for instance. So I thought I Know What You Did Last Summer could be fun. Maybe they could even tweak the twist if they truly wanted to. But maybe make some new horror scream queens out of it. I don't know, because the original had a great cast.
Well, I mean, they sure tried to redo Scream with Scream 4, so
Which I
and the
thought
TV
was
show.
good.
So.
Well, I didn't see the TV show, but I thought Scream 4 they did good with. I say give it a shot. What's the worst case scenario? People are going to be like, holy shit, this is so much worse than the original. Like,
Oh my God, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Ron Felipe, yeah.
right. Like, I mean, there's really not many arguments. Just cash it in. People go see it out of nostalgia because that's what idiot people do, like you, me. You know, we like nostalgia. Everybody loves nostalgia. We'll just go and hand over money. That's what we do. Number 4. And I thought you would actually have this on your list, and you didn't. Blade.
For as much of a horror movie, I see Blade almost like. Personally, I have trouble keeping it out of like the comic book / action series. But yeah, I could see that.
I mean,
Definitely see that.
with Marvel running roughshod on fucking the industry right now, Blade is in a perfect scenario to be rebooted, I think. Like, and you
I wouldn't deny it. I mean, I'm really surprised that they haven't said anything about that character.
if you think about it, it kind of checks a lot of the boxes, you know, like, and look how good Black Panther did. Now you get another black superhero, a rated R superhero. So you got a black superhero. You can go rated R like fucking Deadpool. There's a lot, and I think, you know, even though it wouldn't be a comedy, I think a lot of people would go see it. It's not like it could be. Blade was good. It was very good, but it wasn't. I would never call Blade great, so it's not like you're on bastardize a truly great piece of cinema. So give it a whirl.
I mean, I don't know. Like, if you really look at it, I want to say Blade has to be responsible for kicking off the whole fucking superhero genre. I mean, between Blade, Blade 2, Blade 3 isn't as good, but I still liked it. But I mean, I don't think we would have had an X-Men if Blade hadn't been reasonably successful.
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. Blade really, because Spawn didn't do good. What Spawn isn't considered a horror, is it?
No, I mean, I think it possibly could have been. But I think it came out relatively the same time as Blade, because I remember I was just watching an interview with Michael J. White on YouTube where he's talking about like how the movie they initially were making was not the movie that they ended up with, this Spawn. But he was like, you know, we did this initial shoot, and you know there was only 75 special effects in the whole movie, and they showed it to the executives, and the executives liked it, and the director's like, well, I can do more special effects if you want. And you know, they cut the story and then added in like 175 special effects. So he's like, at that point, we just knew shit was going downhill. He's like, I would go over to the Blade set and talk to Wesley while he's filming it, and he would tell me about all the shit that was going on there. I was like, please take me over here to this movie. So,
yeah,
an interesting story, but yeah, I do think there's a untapped market there for Blade. I mean, it would let them start doing, you know, darker stuff with Marvel without necessarily having to, you know, make it mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like it wouldn't be profitable. Obviously, no matter what, everything that they're doing right now is profitable. So, yeah. All right. My number 3 is another triad, and I'm going to use 2 of them as examples. I'm going to use Running Man and 31, Rob Zombie's 31, as examples. And there was this movie that came out in the early 2000s, late 90s. It was called Slashers. And it was kind of like this Japanese game show. It was 2001. And like, basically, you know, you had to survive the night while people were going around killing you. So, I mean, this all sounds familiar, right? And
Yes.
like, it was just such a low budget endeavor. It's kind of hard to watch at times. Like, it's even listed as a comedy horror because you can't help but laugh at some of the dumb shit. I think I don't want the Running Man remade. That's why I go with Slashers, because there's enough there that hardly anybody knows about it, so it's not like you're pissing all over the grave of some great movie. It's just a good concept that, with under the right guidance, the horror game show still can work, but god damn it, Rob Zombie dropped the ball at 31. So I don't know. I'd like to see something in that vein done again. That's
Yeah, I mean, one of the most interesting, like, B movie slash no budget indies I saw in a long time was one that came out a couple of years ago called All Superheroes Must Die.
never heard of it.
And it was kind of like in this vein, but imagine like all the people playing were depowered superheroes, and like their villains were the ones who were going around hunting them, kind of thing.
Oh, that is interesting. What's it called?
All Superheroes Must Die. James Remar was in it. I had to download it through like one of those apps that lets you download shit because like nowhere ever carried it because it was so small budget.
Okay, I'll see if I can find it. That sounds interesting. I like the idea of it. Okay, I have two more movies, and I don't know which one I want to make number one. All right, number two, I'm going to go with People Under the Stairs.
Oh, good call. Good call.
There's so much, and you know what? Fuck it. If Jordan Peele wants to take it, let him take it. I don't think he would do bad with it, but you could give it to a lot of people, modernize it, like amp up the crazy shit. You just gotta have the key is you gotta have mom and dad be cast incredibly well. Like that's the key thing, I think.
No, I would agree. I mean, yeah, good call. Good call.
It's just such an underrated and great movie. And in today's society, I think that movie would do well given everything. I think it'd be very over with the crowd. So, all right, number one, not necessarily a full out horror, but it's horror enough. Cube.
Yeah, it's another one. Good one.
Cube was done on a shoestring budget, from my understanding, and it was popular enough they got made a Cube 2, and then they made a Cube 0, and I mean, looking back on it, originally the whole intrigue was, the ending, like what was that guy seeing, but I mean, now you could kind of update it with modern stuff. I would like to see what they did with it. I don't know. Would you keep the same ending though?
Probably not. I mean, at this point, like, unless you're trying to reboot the whole series as a series, I would probably just make it a one and done. So, if I'm going to be vague, I'm going to be even more vague. If I'm not going to leave a teaser kind of trying to promote a sequel.
Right. Yeah. I think Cube would be really fun. So, this was good. This was good in the fact that we didn't have many of the same things, and yet, I mean, horror in and of itself is, I mean, if people are going to stop coming up with original ideas, which seems to be the fucking case as of late, pick better movies to remake or do a better job. Like that's all. I don't know. Like, you still haven't seen the Pet Sematary remake, right?
No, I haven't seen it yet. Was it any good?
I haven't seen it either, and honestly, it's more of a morbid curiosity. I don't think I'm going to like it. I'm going in with the mentality that I'm not going to like it, and I wish I could go in with more of an open mind, but
why do you think you're going in with it? Because, like, I don't really think the original was anything special. It's not like it's something that, like, I hold near and dear to my heart. So.
Well, I guess that's the big difference. I'd put probably Pet Sematary in my top 10 favorite horror movies. Like, to me, it's one of my favorites. Actually, I just bought that on digital too, but that's mainly because I can't find my Blu-ray.
That's like one of the ones that, like, I watched later on in life, and seeing it later on, especially distance from the time, like, the special effects are fucking shitty.
Very shitty. It wasn't even the fact that they remade it. It's what I saw from the trailer made me not, and it didn't look good from the trailer. And my issue is, it's a trailer. The trailer's supposed to make you want to see it, and the trailer did the exact opposite for me. So that's my concern. I don't think it's even come out on anything.
No, I don't. No, not yet.
So, yeah, hopefully, by by fall, obviously it'll be out, and I'll definitely review it.
Have you heard anything about the movie Perfection on Netflix?
No.
Like, supposedly that's supposed to be like scary, scary. Like that's one of the ones where people are saying like they're getting physically sick from watching it.
Is it The Perfection by chance?
I believe so. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe The Perfection.
Drama, horror, thriller. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll add that to the quote unquote list here. I always had. I mean, people who listen to us know that every time we do a podcast, I end up walking away with a list of things to watch in theory. So, honestly, I still need to see whatever that show was that came out in October with the haunted house thing. I still haven't seen that on Netflix, so that's something I really want to sit down and put some time into and binge watch it. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on Netflix, and they keep adding more stuff. And for me, I feel that it's great to take like a 3-month break from Netflix and then come back because like you have so many more options. When you go month to month, it just feels like they barely add anything.
See, my problem is, like I play so much video games, I almost feel like I'm cheating on myself when I spend time watching TV, unless I'm doing it in conjunction with something else, and that's not really like a good case to watch things for the first time. So,
right,
I might need to scale back a little bit on my video game playing in order to catch up. Because like what just hit, fucking the new season of Archer, the new season of Black Mirror. You know, I haven't even had a chance to get started on them. I wanted to rewatch Deadwood to catch up on the new movie because you know there's never going to be another season of that. So,
yeah, definitely. Black Mirror is actually probably, I don't know. I'd like to finish that this month. I'd like to. I've never delved into it. I've heard so many good things. But
are you the person I remember talking about Channel Zero when Black Mirror first came out?
We probably did talk about Channel Zero because I was a big fan.
Because I've never talked about it with you, but I remember somebody talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I started watching that on people's recommendations. I'm liking it so far. So.
Did you just like what have you seen of Channel Zero?
I'm still in the first season because again, like I was saying, you know, I've had so much other shit to watch. I was like, well, let me not start something brand new until I've finished up some more of the stuff I was watching. But I think I'm like episode 3 or 4 of Candle Cove.
Okay, one thing I've noticed with Channel Zero, and it's horror in general. I mean, well, I would say 80 to 90% of horror starts strong and ends weak. So I went into every season of Channel Zero with that mindset, and it didn't bother me. Like, I think all of the earlier episodes are so much better. Season 2 especially has John Carroll Lynch, and he's awesome in it. So that's exciting. But yeah, I run into the same issue. I like playing video games, and I can't watch something new on my computer and play a video game at the same time.
That's exactly what I run into.
So while I'm watching a movie, all of a sudden I find myself like I want to do something. Like I can watch a movie, but like last night when I was binge watching the 4 movies, I was like wanting to do something, so I ended up playing like solitaire a few times, just to get that little craving out of the way, as stupid as it sounds. Plus, I just bought a lot of new games. Not new games. I bought a lot of games that are actually old and cheaper that I've never played. So,
Gotcha.
all right. So, with that being said, now would be a great time for us to pick 2 movies for the other person to see. I have a list of the ones that you had on your list that intrigued me.
Sure. Which ones?
Well, Wolfen and Split Second both seem like 2 movies that I could definitely get behind.
Oh yeah, that definitely works for me. Wolfen, I don't know where you would find it. Good luck. I mean, Split Second, you already have a copy, so
Yeah.
there you
I'll if I can't find Wolfen, we can try Where, maybe.
Yeah, that one. I streamed it on something. I don't know if it's still there, but I do remember
Okay.
it was on. It was on like that one might be on Netflix. I'd have to take a look.
Okay. Not a problem. For you, I'm looking. You've never seen.
I have for the ones that you brought up. I haven't seen Frontiers, The Burning, Don't Look in the Basement, and The Sentinel.
Okay. God
The
damn.
Sentinel sounded like it might have been something I watched back in the day, and I just don't remember the exact name because that plot sounds very similar, but I don't remember it if I had.
All right. I would say try the Sentinel, and I would say Frontiers. I think you'll. Do you mind foreign movies?
No, I should. I just bought 2 Russian ones yesterday, so.
Okay, I would say go for those because I don't know how easy. Well, I know Don't Look in the Basement's on Prime, but you like sitting there reviewing it, you'd sit there and go, "Why the fuck did you make me watch this?" So I don't feel like. And same with like The Burning, it'd be like, "Yep, this guy got burned, people got killed." The end. Like, there's not much of a discussion point, I guess. Whereas the other two, I feel there's discussion points. So that makes sense to me.
Gotcha.
So I will asterisk those two and feel better about life. All right. Now we decided for next month's podcast, rather than doing one top 10, we're doing 2 top 5. So do you want to tell the audience what they are?
All right, the first top 5 is going to be top 5 anthology movies, anthology horror movies. Let me preface that. And the second top 5 is going to be top 5. It was endings, right? Movie endings.
Correct.
Horror movies with the best ending.
Yep. And yeah, I'm looking forward to both of them because there's a multitude of yeah, actually, I think there's more better anthologies than there are good horror movie endings. There are not a lot of great horror movie endings, in my opinion.
I mean, it depends on if you think nihilistic fucking everybody dies is a good ending or not.
It really depends. Like in The Mist, it worked well, and a lot of other times, no, it doesn't work so well. So,
Damn it, there's my number 1. Thanks a lot, Kat. You just gave it to him. I'll have to think of a new number 1.
I don't know. All I can think of is like stuff back when it was like original, you know, like the Carrie and Friday the 13th. But I know there's other stuff that I've really enjoyed, so it's going to be something fun to really think about. They may not even hit my top 5, quite frankly, just stuff off the top of my head. So,
Yeah, I think there are certain movies that have really good endings that end up saving the movie. You know, and maybe the whole movie wasn't good, but you know, the ending, the twist or whatever, you know, turns it from being a shitty movie into just an okay movie. So, you know, the whole movie isn't great, but the ending's good. And then there are a couple, I'm certain that I could think of some eventually, you know, where the whole movie's good and the ending's just even better. So.
and then there's the original Nightmare on Elm Street. The ending nobody could agree on, so they went with the shit show. Good times. So, one last thing I want to bring up before we go is that I think Russ and I are getting back together doing a podcast, probably for the Are You Not Entertained brand, and I think that you might actually kind of like the idea. I didn't even bring it up earlier, so I'll bring it up now. Our new idea is the premise of gun to your head, pick one of these 2 things in a specific scenario. And we're going to cover like, it's not just going to be like sports or fighting or cartoons. It's going to be like anything you can think of to have one-on-one, give a scenario, and then you have a gun to your head. What are you picking type? And I think that's what, I don't know, I think it could be a little bit of fun. And I'm hoping that maybe at some point, you and I might even do one, like a horror themed one at some point.
Gun to your head, Eric or Russ's mom.
Wow. See you later, Eric.
Wait, no, that's not what I was. One to your head, you're naked, Eric or Russ's mom.
I am so taking Russ's mom.
God. Poor Eric.
But
or maybe poor Carrie.
like, dude, once we got talking about it, like, not only did him and I talk about it a lot last Friday, Tuesday I hung out with a few friends and we spent, God, like an inordinate amount of time, like, just coming up with different scenarios, like Indiana Jones versus Han Solo, no weapons, cage fight. So, I don't know. Hopefully it could be fun, or it's going to be a terrible thing. I don't know, but we're going to try it. That's what I'm trying to announce.
Yeah, I could see it being interesting. I mean, not to prevaricate or anything, but a lot of it's just going to depend on what the schedule is.
Sure.
I'm pretty busy for the rest of the year with work, so if it gets to the point where I'm working 2 days of overtime a week, that might cut back on it. But yeah, even if I don't make everyone, I would like to be a guest on that one. So.
Well, no, what I was saying is, like, when we do a podcast, you and I, at the end of it, if we did, hey, who's winning between who's winning between Jason and Michael, for instance, and have a quick 3 or 5 minute discussion. Like, that's what I was.
I thought you were talking about me getting into the ring with Russ.
Like,
yeah.
Russ never was up this late, so no.
Okay, yeah, I got you. No, that would be an interesting bit to add in.
Yeah, just something small. So that's what you guys can look forward to in July or August, pending Chris's absurd schedule he has going on. So, anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
No, just make sure you check out all the Game of Thrones stuff we did over the last couple months over at Nine Deuce Blogs. I don't know. Kent will give you the actual thing. I just search Nine Deuce Blogs when I put it into my Google, and that's what pops up. So
yeah, it's amazing that it even comes up on Google, but yay.
Maybe because of the number of times I search to see my own name. That might possibly be why. That's also where we post the podcast. So yeah, just give Kent a hand and go check his shit out, because he's got a lot of interesting stuff up there from years and years and years back.
And there's going to be a lot of movie stuff this summer.
Yeah, make sure you like everything that has me in it. Okay. Anyways.
No. I mean, keep giving yourself fellatio. It's cool.
If I could, I would.
Fair enough. Yeah, we're going to do some top 5 Game of Thrones things. We just don't have a definite time frame yet, but we are going to do it this summer if time permits. So look forward to that as well. So ninedeuce.com/blogs or ninedeuce.com/podcast will get you to, or just go to ninedeuce.com. There, you get to pick whatever the fuck you want. There you go. Nice and easy.
Choices.
Yep. Fucking little jigsaw action here. That's all I got.
All right, well, I guess that internet, this will be me and Kent signing off. Have a good night, and we'll catch you back again either sometime in July or towards the beginning of August. Have a good one.
See ya.